Welcome to the topic Transport and Communication. Transport. This is the physical carriage and movement of goods and people from one place to another. Communication, on the other hand, is the whole process of transmitting or exchanging information between persons. Modes of transport. The modes of transport refer to the way or manner in which goods or people move. These include land transport, water transport, and air transport. We shall discuss each of the modes starting with land transport. Land transport. Land transport involves the following: human and animal transport, road transport, railway transport, and pipeline. Land transport. To understand transport, we shall start with human and animal transport. Human beings carry light goods on their heads, backs, shoulders, or their hands. Domesticated animals like oxen, horses, camels, donkeys can carry goods on their backs, known as pack animals, or pull loaded carts as draught animals. Human and animal transport has the following advantages: it is affordable, readily available, it is safe, environment friendly, no pollution, and complementary to other means. However, they have few disadvantages: insecurity of goods, low speed, therefore causing delays, limited carrying capacity, and can obstruct other road users, especially in urban areas. Road transport. This is the most widely used mode of transport. There are various classes of roads according to their quality and level of development. They are all-weather roads, dry-weather roads, and motor-able track. We now look at the advantages of road transport. Flexibility, facilitating door-to-door service. Convenient. Road transport can be used at one's convenient time. It is fast, especially on short distances. Road construction and maintenance is cheaper than railways. Road links with other means of transport like sea, air, and railway. Road can be used while still under construction. However, road transport experiences some disadvantages as follows: traffic congestion and jams, uneconomical due to limited In conclusion, we look at the major intercontinental highways of Africa, which shows the importance of roads connecting African countries. Another type of land transport is railway system. In railway transport, people use trains which move on laid-out rails. The use of railways is less extensive in Africa, as shown on the map. The railway transport offers the following: reliability and efficiency. This arises from fixed schedules used by trains. Some developed countries have electrified railway systems which move people very fast. Comfort. This is realized during the transportation of people, where the accommodation is provided for passengers. Trains are less prone to accidents than motor vehicles. Continuous service. Railway transport is not easily affected by weather conditions. Low maintenance cost once built. Railways do not require frequent repairs or relaying. Despite the many advantages of railway transport, there are few disadvantages of railway transport. Low Despite the many advantages of railway transport, there are few disadvantages of railway transport. Low speed. Railway transport is generally slow and unsuitable for perishable goods. Uneconomical. Initial construction cost is high. Inflexibility. It is inflexible since once the rails are laid, they remain fixed, therefore, door-to-door service is not available. They also operate on fixed schedule. Uneven distribution of railway line. The railway transport is selective in favor of economically productive regions and a pipeline. Pipeline is a means of movement of many fluids and gases through pipes. These pipes are manufactured to prevent corrosion and leakages. Pipeline transport is least distributed in the world. In Kenya, the oil distributed extends from Mombasa through Nairobi to Kisumu and to Eldoret. The pipeline system has the following advantages. Constant supply. They allow continuous flow and supply with minimum stopover or congestion and therefore the fastest means of transporting fluids. Pipeline transport has also its own disadvantages. The following are disadvantages of pipeline transport. Selectivity. Pipeline can only be used for only one type of fluids at a time. Leakages. In case of any leakage, heavy losses are incurred, which may lead to environmental pollution. Permanence. Rerouting of the product is impossible and other means like roads have to be used. Insecurity. This may be experienced in case of internal or external sabotage. Heavy initial capital outlay. This is incurred in purchasing special pipes and pumping machinery. Water transport. Water transport comprises all movement of goods and people over waterways. The waterways fall into two categories, namely sea and inland waterways. For this session, we shall get started by discussing sea waterways. Sea waterways. Sea water transport involves movement of people and goods connecting countries and continents with seaports all over the world. The main vessels used in sea transport include liners and trams. Liners are ships which operate along fixed routes on fixed time schedules and have a fixed rate of freight charges. There are two types of liners, passenger liners and cargo. Some cargo liners carry specialized goods and have special design, especially oil tankers. Trams are cargo ships that are meant for transporting cargo without fixed route or schedule. They charge lower freight charges. Containers. The sea transport has been modernized with the development of refrigeration facilities which enable transportation for perishable goods for longer distances. On the other hand, containerization, where goods are packed in standard steel metal containers, sealed at the port of origin and unsealed at the destination, is a milestone in shipping industry. This is because containerization saves a lot of time in loading and offloading of containers. It is economical in terms of space because it allows tight packing of containers. The safety and security of the goods is ensured, and they are easy to handle in loading and offloading. The well-marked sea routes are influenced by the availability of ocean terminals for refueling. The main trading activities among various regions and absence of physical barriers like coral reefs, which may hamper safe shipping. The major concentration of these routes is concentrated in the Northern Hemisphere due to high degree of industrialization, intensive trading, high population, and development of port. There are 6 major world sea routes. Panama Canal Sea Route connects the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean between North America and South America. Cape of Good Hope Sea Route connects western coast of Africa, Southeast Africa, New Zealand, and Australia. North Pacific Sea Route connects the eastern coast of Asia and western North America. North Atlantic Sea Route links or connects Western Europe to eastern North America. Mediterranean Asiatic Sea Route connects Europe to Africa through the Mediterranean Sea and the Far East countries. Transatlantic rivers. Rivers that are navigable permit a smooth movement of vessels, for example, boats. Some navigable rivers are part of River Congo, River Nile from Uganda to Khartoum, River Ogooué in Gabon, and upper sections of River Niger. Some of inland waterways are found on lakes. Lake Victoria forms the largest waterway in East Africa, serving Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania in the movement of goods and passengers. Other lakes that are significant in inland transport include Lake Tanganyika, Malawi, and Albert. They serve the Eastern Africa and other parts of Africa. Canal transport. A canal is a water channel that cuts through land for boats or ships to travel along. Examples of canals are Suez Canal, which joins the Mediterranean and the Red Sea, and Panama Canal, linking Caribbean Sea with the Pacific Ocean. There are also some canals constructed alongside some rivers to bypass waterfalls and SAD. For example, Jonglei Canal joins the town of Bor to Malakal, thus bypassing the SAD. One of the successful cases of inland waterways is seen on the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Seaway. St. Lawrence Seaway is the world's longest and busiest inland waterway, stretching for over 360 kilometers. The inland waterway was developed through the cooperation of Canada and USA. The two countries set out to remove the natural shortcomings which interfered with navigability by constructed canals to join lakes, constructed dams to solve the problem of rapids and waterfalls, deepened shallow sections of the seaway to accommodate large fishing vessels, rocky islands and bottlenecks were blasted, provided icebreakers during the winter season, installed the radar system to allow navigation during foggy weather, and rocks were also constructed to raise water levels in the lakes at intervals. The role of the seaway in the economies of Canada and USA. Increase the volume of trade between Canada and USA and the rest of the world, since ocean-going ships can sail from the Atlantic to the interiors of North America. Wheat, timber, industrial products and iron ore from North America are exported to many parts of the world. Hydroelectric power production. The dams constructed along seaway of Niagara Falls generate hydroelectric power for industrial and domestic purposes. The last mode of transport we shall discuss is air transport. Air transport refers to the movement of people and goods using aircraft like aeroplane, helicopters, and hot air balloons. The last mode of transport we shall discuss is air transport. Air transport refers to the movement of people and goods using aircraft like aeroplane, helicopters, and hot air balloons. Disadvantages. However, air transport has the following disadvantages. Expensive. The initial capital outlay for buying an aeroplane and establishing a well-equipped airport is very high. Maintenance and operating cost is very high. This limits the use of aeroplanes even in domestic flights. Requires highly trained personnel. A transport requires highly trained with high technical expertise in the control and operation of aircraft. High-risk accidents because very few passengers survive the accident and the aircraft is usually destroyed. Affected by weather changes. Weather changes such as thick fog, storms, thick snow can hamper navigation of aircraft. Uneven distribution. The physical condition of construction of airports are restrictive. Therefore, even distribution of the airports is difficult and other forms of transport are required to complement it. Inflexibility. the scope of services is limited and does not offer door-to-door services. Types of communication. There are three main types of communication used in transmission of information, which includes verbal communication, written communication, audio-visual, and telecommunication services. We now discuss each one of them. Verbal communication. It involves two parties, the speaker and the listener. Written communication. This is where the message or ideas are conveyed through writing. There is a sender and a receiver. The written message is then transported either by air, road, or railway. Audio-visual. This includes sending messages using combination of sound, signs, and pictures for effective communication. It takes place when one can see and hear. Some traditional communication methods are still in use. Use of gestures, shouting in a special way, and use of smoke. Telecommunication services. Telecommunication means communicating over distance by telephone using either cables or wireless means. In Kenya, the following services are available. Telephone services through landline and mobile phones. Telex. The written messages are typed in one place where they are typed out by a teleprinter. The improvement of the telex is the electronic mail or email, where the computers linked to a telecommunication network send and receive information at a high speed. The efficiency of the email depends on the development of the internet in a country. Transport and communication impact on the economic development of any given country because they promote the local and foreign trade. The specific areas of economic development that are affected by transport and communication are trade, industrialization, mobility of labor, international understanding, implementation of government policies, development of settlements, employment, and exploitation of natural resources. We now discuss areas that we have mentioned. Trade. Trade has expanded at a high rate since a variety of goods and services are exchanged easily using land, water, and air transport. More industries are established in areas of countries with efficient means of transport and communication, where raw materials and finished products can reach market cheaply and faster. In developing countries, industries are concentrated in urban centers where means of transport and communication are well developed. Mobility of labor. The development of transport and communication systems has made the world a global village. Many people move and work in towns and different countries, reducing case of labor shortage, therefore promoting industrialization and improving service delivery. International understanding. Development of transport and communication has increased human contact, promoting understanding among people worldwide. This has enhanced exchange of ideas, promoted appreciation of other people's culture, strengthening global peace, which is vital for economic development. Implementation of government policies. Transport and communication are necessary for dissemination of government policies, services, and exploitation of natural resources. Development of settlements. Many settlements have grown where transport routes converge. For example, Khartoum, the capital of Sudan, developed at the confluence of Blue Nile and White Nile. Another example is Makutano in Meru. Employment. There are many transport and communication services which create employment opportunities. For example, drivers, pilots, engineers, mechanics, journalists, computer programmers, and satellite officers. Exploitation of natural resources. Availability of transport and communication opens up remote areas for economic activities such as mining, fishing, tourism, and trading. Physical limitations of transport and communication. Physical limitations include landlocked countries, inhabited land, thick vegetation, and topographical limitations. Physical limitations. Landlocked countries. A number of African countries are landlocked, that is, they have no direct link to the sea and have to rely on neighboring countries, for example, Uganda for exports and imports. This can present problems due to high toll charges and delays, especially if the roads are poor in transit countries or there is a poor relation. Landlocked countries need to maintain good relations among the nations through which they access the sea. There is need to establish a transport network across different countries by road, railway, and air. For example, Tanzam Railway, that is Tanzania-Zambia Railways. Uganda is linked to other international airports like Jomo Kenyatta Airport. Topographical limitations. Some countries have steep, rugged mountainous relief. For example, around Mount Kilimanjaro, Mount Kenya, Cameroon, and the Rift Valley. This makes the establishment of transport routes difficult and very expensive. Heavy rains can wash away roads and railways, interrupting movements. Some of the rivers are innavigable due to rapids and waterfalls and are swift-flowing, shallow rocky riverbeds and fluctuating volume of water in rivers. Topographical problems present a lot of challenging situations, some which are being tackled by constructing tunnels through ridges across rivers and valleys, canals to bypass swamps, damming of rivers to swallow rapids. Inhabited land. Areas with harsh environmental conditions, for example, desert, are inhabited and economically unproductive. This discourages the development of transport and communication in some of those areas. Transport and communication facilities are underutilized. Government is trying to develop marginal areas by exploiting the natural resources. This encourages improvements of transport and communication. Thick vegetation. Presence of thick vegetation cover, equatorial vegetation, makes it difficult to construct roads and railways where swamps develop like the SAD of Sudan. Road, rail, and water transport are hampered. Floating vegetation like the hyacinth of Lake Victoria also hampers movement of boats. Human limitations. Besides the physical limitations, there are human-related limitations. These include different railway and road system, political barriers, inadequate capital, poor technology, high fuel costs, security, and unfavorable laws. Different railway and road system. African countries have unconsolidated roads and railway linkages with different gauges because of the colonial interest that served industrial countries. For example, the French colonies like Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, and Burundi are not connected to former British colonies in East Africa. Political barriers. There has been slow and sometimes disruption in development of transport and communication due to political instability and different ideologies. Example, Somalia, Rwanda, Burundi, Angola, and Mozambique. Inadequate capital. Development of transport and communication requires heavy capital investment. This is usually for the purchase of different vehicles, construction of transport lines, buying of communication equipment, and training skilled personnel. This explains the haphazard development and poor maintenance of transport and communication facilities. This has led to heavy borrowing from developed countries, which led to indebtedness. Poor technology and shortage of skilled labor. in the developing countries resulted in poor planning management and construction of transport and communication systems. This, in the long run, is expensive to develop and the services remain poor. High fuel cost. Many African countries have been unable to cope with ever-increasing prices of petroleum, limiting the growth of transport sector, especially air transport. High fuel cost. Increased campaigns for security. The major threat to transport and communication is experienced through vandalization of facilities, for example, telephone and internet cables, road signs, and bridge guards. This makes maintenance very expensive and frequent interruption in the communication. Unfavorable laws have isolated African countries. Since transport and communication international standards are based on the developed nations,